Chris Philp, good to see you as always. How are you? How much are you looking forward to the reset from this government?
Good morning, Kate. Well, I think it's more of a desperate attempt to relaunch a failing government. Keir Starmer's ratings are down to minus 32%. That's the biggest fall following a general election, I think, in modern history. And after all the broken promises, promising they weren't going to put up taxes and then breaking that promise after the winter fuel debacle, stripping the winter fuel payment from impoverished pensioners, all the while he was loading up on freebies personally from Lord Alley and handing out massive pay rises to his trade union paymasters. It's no wonder the public are already sick of this government, and he's desperately, desperately trying to relaunch. Yeah, they're fixing the issues that you lot left behind, not least cutting police officers because of austerity. Well, there were reductions in officer numbers after 2010 because of the financial crisis the last Labour government produced, but we then hired a lot more. And in fact, we left office this year with a record ever number of police officers. On March the 31st this year, we had 149,769, the highest number in history, and about 3,000 more than we inherited in 2010. And at the same time, crime had fallen. Now, this announcement we're going to hear from Keir Starmer later today is going to mention 13,000 police officers. Now, that is actually a bogus and misleading claim, because I've been digging into this, and it turns out only 3,000 of those 13,000 are actually new police officers. And even those, the government are not fully funding, which means the police forces are going to have to find money from somewhere else. They're going to have to cut something else to fund the government's pledge. So when Keir Starmer stands up and says that number today, he is, once again misleading the British public. Yeah, you also say, as part of your investigations, that 3,000 police officers are going to be diverted away from 999 response and investigations. We put that to the Home Secretary. This is what she said.
Yeah, no, that's just nonsense. So we've identified around the 13,000. We initially said you could do that through having about 3,000 new recruits, police officers, another 4,000 newly recruited PCSOs, potentially 3,000 specials.
Yeah, and she missed out the last bit. Those numbers don't add up. The last 3,000 are 3,000 officers who are going to be reassigned from other duties to make it add up to 13,000 in total. Now, what are other duties? Well, local policing has 999 response officers and officers doing investigations. That is the only place it can come from. I spoke to a police and crime commissioner about this just a day or two ago, and he said he's going to have to take people, if the government make him do this, he's going to have to take people off 999 response in order to deliver the pledge that Starmer is going to make. I mean, once again, deeply misleading. Only 3,000 of the 13,000 are new, and even those 3,000 are not being fully funded. Very, very dishonest from this government.
What's going on with Kemi Badenoch as far as migration figures are concerned, and what should happen with Rwanda? I believe that you previously said that you urgently need to reinstate Rwanda. In fact, you said that on this programme, but Kemi Badenoch pointedly refused to recommit to Rwanda last week.
No, I think we're basically in the same place. We were standing... Well, no, we are, because, look, she was looking forward to 5 years' time when we may get back into office if we manage to win the next election. And, of course, the Rwandans may not, be ready to do a deal. I think, I think the government, the current government, should reinstate it immediately, because without a deterrent...
Why should they, if your boss won't commit to reinstating?
Well, look, she said very clearly, and I agree, we need a deterrent. What she was saying is in she was saying in 5 years' time, who knows if the Rwandan government will still want to do it. We're both committed to a deterrent, and we both think, Kemi and I both think, it was a mistake to cancel it before it even started. The first flight had been due to take off on July the 24th, and we both think the Labour government should reconsider, do a U-turn and put it back in place. And that's important because without a deterrent, people will cross the channel. The National Crime Agency say that. And that's why we've seen, since the election, a 64% increase in small boat crossings compared to the same period immediately before the general election. A 64% increase. More than 20,000 people have crossed the channel in just the last 150 days alone, because the Labour government foolishly and wrongly cancelled the Rwanda deterrent. Even the European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen, is now calling on European Union member states to have some kind of offshore or outside the EU processing system, which is not quite...
She mentioned Rwanda.
Well, it's not... Yeah, she's outside the EU, right? She's saying that...
There's plenty of places outside
the EU. There are, but the principle, she's saying in principle, she wants European member states
You're all in a bit of a model, aren't you?
No, not remotely. Couldn't be clearer.
OK, I don't think it's clear. You sat there and said, totally want this reinstated urgently. Kemi Badenoch, your boss, won't commit to it.
Well, she's talking about what we're going to do in 5 years' time. And she, obviously...
But she's not pushing the government to do it now.
No, she is. She's repeatedly, like me, said that removing a deterrent is a huge mistake. And we can see it's a mistake because the small boat numbers have gone up since the general election.
OK. Yesterday, Tim Montgomery sat where you are. Oh, what does that mean?
I'm acknowledging the point.
It was was that of disappointment?
A little bit, yeah.
OK. He feels that it was with a heavy heart that he had to leave the party. It was eventually as a direct result of your situation as far as migration numbers are concerned. But he does think and hope that there is wriggle room for Reform and the Conservatives to work together.
Well, I'm sad about Tim's departure. I've known Tim for a long time. On the migration point, I mean, Kemi acknowledged in her speech last week that successive governments over decades, including recent Conservative governments, have made mistakes on migration. The numbers have been, legal migration have been far too high, and we will take a different approach now as a new Conservative Party with a new leader in order to win back the trust of people like Tim. Look, of course, if people like Tim end up supporting Reform, all that's going to happen is we risk another Labour government at the next election. We warned about it in the last election a few months ago. We said if people voted Reform, it would hand Labour a landslide, and that sadly is exactly what happened. If the
Conservatives work together, that's not necessarily the case, is it?
Well, I mean, the Reform Party have said they want to try and destroy the Conservative Party, so it's quite difficult to work with people.
Rhetoric.
Well, I mean, who knows? It's what they say, and you have to take it at face value, and it's quite hard to work with people who say they're dedicated to your destruction.
I remember previously Lord Cameron talked about reformers, or predecessor to reformers, being swivel-eyed loons and then wanted to work with them.
Well, I'm not sure he ever worked with them directly, but I wouldn't, by the way, I wouldn't endorse that language.
No, good. I'm glad. Tell me what happened to your eye.
I was playing football in Croydon last Sunday, and I got punched in the face by a member of my own team, but it was an accident.
Do they know that you're the Shadow Home Secretary?
It was an accident, so I was trying to clear a ball from the goal line by heading it. I was playing in defence. The goalkeeper went for the same ball and tried to punch it away. We were both looking at the ball, and his attempt to punch the ball away ended up landing with a punch in my eye. Anyway, which is why I've got a bit of a black eye.
Did you win?
We did win in the end, yeah.
It's fine then.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to see you as always. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you, Kay.